AI data centers are happening nationally. Not every state has that same opportunity, but New York does.
We're seeing dozens of lineups of switchgear, right, totaling $50 million plus of switchgear on a single job.
Everyone is talking about AI and data centers.
And this is what the demand looks like on the electrical side.
As a company who's been in business for 77 years now, historically we saw projects that involved maybe up to a handful of transformers ranging from 1,500 to 3,000 kVA. Today we're seeing projects that involve hundreds of that same size transformer.
A data center is, using everything, right? Transformer, switchgear, right? Even to yard development, right? So in terms of switchgear, we've seen that really take off as well, right? Where you might have one or two lineups on a standard job, right? Let's say 2 years ago, right? But over the past couple of years, right, we're seeing dozens of lineups of switchgear, right? Totaling $50 million plus of switchgear on a single job. So again, looking at switchgear, right, from like an apartment standpoint, you're really talking maybe one piece, and that's maybe. Right, and that's even going to be like a low profile, so a lot of people don't necessarily see them, right? Like you would see a large, NEMA 3R enclosure like this. Right, so in terms of magnitude, we're talking hundreds as well, right? Where, again, your piece of switchgear for that might be $200,000, right, for a standard apartment building. Here we're getting into the many, many millions of dollars of switchgear.
There's a lot of demand for this type of equipment nationally. And it does drive lead time in some cases, of course. So there's certain components, certain items that are somewhat of a copy and paste through these facilities that then are driving lead time, where the manufacturers are struggling to keep up, but doing their best to keep up with the demand that's out there. AI data centers are happening nationally. There are a few hot spots across the country where they're taking place. Thankfully, we're also seeing them in our region in the upstate New York territory. A lot of it is because there was old industry that was here, or legacy sites that were power generation sites now being converted. So there's a lot of these types of projects, or at least several of these projects taking place in New York State. New York State has the sites and the power availability for these types of large projects. So there's a lot of legacy sites, power generation facilities, old factory locations that were large consumers or generators of power. So they have the acreage and they have the power available to be able to build these types of facilities. It's pretty unique nationally for that to take place. Not every state from East Coast to West Coast has that same opportunity, but New York does, and we look at that as a good thing.
Getting into these, I'll say, prior factories, right, and wanting to refurbish them, it's not as simple as turning on a light switch, right? A lot of the time, it's either upgrading, the existing infrastructure or replacing the existing infrastructure, right? But also lining up the resources to have that done, and that's really where Zang comes into play, right? Is having the 78 years of history we do. We're really ingrained, right, in the region, have, again, direct relationships with many, many different factories, different manufacturers, and can really help be the liaison through the process from getting you from day one to lights on.